Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of Paradoxed. I'm your host, Brian Young, and I'm thrilled to have you here as we dive into the unsettling, mind-bending future that's closer than you think. This series is all about exploring the twists, the ironies, and the chilling consequences of our current world evolving into something new and unknown. But let's step into that world together. This series is all about exploring unsettling possibilities, where today's technology, trends, and cultural shifts evolve into something far more disturbing. Here you'll find stories of what could be, stories of a future shaped by the unexpected, the ironic, and the paradoxical. This is a journey into the unknown, a world where reality bends, control slips away, and the truth becomes harder to define. Each episode will take you deeper into the tunnel of what-ifs, where you just might see a glimpse of what our future could hold. Tonight, we begin with a story that explores our obsession with preserving the past and what happens when memories become a commodity. This is Memory Bank. In a world where memories are no longer bound to the mind, but stored as digital files, editable, shareable, and corruptible. Amanda McBroom believed her past was safely under her control. But as she's about to learn, control is often an illusion, and the truth is buried within the memories she thought were hers to keep. This is Memory Bank. Have you ever wondered if your memories truly belong to you? Amanda McBroom didn't, until she found herself in her own memories, watching herself remember. Imagine a world where your past is no longer bound to the fragile workings of your mind, a world where memories can be saved, edited, and restored with perfect clarity, or so they say. But as we look deeper, as we begin to unravel the threads of what we think we know, the truth becomes far less comforting. In this world, every cherished moment, every fleeting emotion is just a file, one that can be manipulated, altered, or erased, a place where every cherished moment, every fleeting thought can be captured, stored, and sold. The past, it seems, is just another commodity. Premium memories were traded on the black market. Vacation packages, celebrity encounters, peak experiences, all downloaded directly into your mind. But no one asked where these memories really came from. This is the story of Amanda McBroom, a woman who thought she had complete control over her memories, until she discovered that, like memory itself, control is an illusion. The Memory Bank, heralded as the greatest technological leap of the 21st century, or so they said. A perfect system for a perfect world. No more lost moments. No more faded recollections. Your happiest day, relived as if it was yesterday. The smell of the ocean, the laughter of your child, the first kiss. Every sensation preserved as fresh as the day it happened. For a small fee, of course. Unlike old memory systems that just played back the past, the memory bank existed outside of linear time. That's what made it revolutionary. And dangerous. Schools stopped teaching memorization. Why bother when the memory bank could store everything perfectly? Relationships changed too. Couples no longer argued about misremembered anniversaries or forgotten promises. The memory bank started as a corporate efficiency tool, perfect recall for perfect productivity. No one questioned when it spread to personal lives. Like most mornings, Amanda McBroom sat alone at her kitchen table, a cold cup of coffee forgotten beside her. Her eyes had the distant look of someone accessing the memory bank, that subtle glaze that had become so common in modern society. She was having breakfast with her family. Not in reality, of course. In reality, her husband was already at work and her daughter was at school. But in the memory bank, they were all together, sharing pancakes and laughter from last Sunday's perfect morning. Emotional vitamins, she called these morning memory sessions. Why experience one present moment when you could relive a dozen perfect ones? She accessed her memory bank as naturally as breathing. A slight twitch of her temporal muscle, a blink of her augmented eyes, and there it was. Her husband had stopped commenting on these habits months ago. Living in replay, he called it, his voice carrying a weight she chose not to analyze. The irony that she had to schedule time to remember their actual life together wasn't lost on her. At work, the memory bank made her the perfect executive. Every client meeting, every handshake, every negotiation captured with crystal clarity. Her colleagues marveled at her recall, but none of them knew about her weekend editing sessions, smoothing rough edges, perfecting her corporate persona until she couldn't even tell where the edits began. For Amanda McBroom, the memory bank was a necessity, not a luxury. A high-ranking corporate executive, Amanda had little time to dwell on the past, so she let the memory bank do it for her. Birthdays, weddings, vacations, all neatly stored and accessible at the push of a button. Her life was perfectly efficient, every detail in place. Her husband, her friends, her job, they all lived in neat little folders within her mind, waiting for her to pull them up, to relive them whenever she pleased. Why waste time remembering when the memory bank can do it for you? But perfection comes at a price. And why not? It was easy. Everyone did it. It was the new way to be human, efficient, streamlined, without the messiness of bad memories getting in the way. The memory bank even had a phrase for it: mental hygiene. Why burden yourself with mistakes, pain, or regret when you can simply clean it all up? Like sweeping away the dust. Out of sight, out of mind. At least that's what Amanda believed. It was a Tuesday, like any other. Amanda sat at her desk reviewing a merger contract, a task that she could complete in her sleep. But then, a thought, a memory, like a whisper at the back of her mind. What was the date of her wedding anniversary? She paused for a moment, her fingers hovering over the keyboard, and then smiled. Why try to remember? Why strain her mind when the memory bank had it all, safely stored away? With a simple thought, she accessed the memory. The sounds of laughter, the bright lights, her husband's smiling face as he took her hand. But suddenly, something was wrong. Very wrong. It was his smile. Too wide, too perfect. The angle of his head, the way the light hit his eyes. It wasn't right, not how she remembered. For a moment, she thought it was just a glitch, something minor, something she could shrug off. But the more she looked, the more she knew. This wasn't the memory she had lived. This was something else, something new. For the first time in years, Amanda began to wonder, what if her memories weren't as perfect as she thought? What if the past she had been living with, this perfectly curated version of her life, wasn't entirely real? And if it wasn't real, then what was? For the first time in years, Amanda felt doubt. The memory bank had always been flawless, until now. She tried another memory, then another, her niece's birthday, her last vacation to the coast. In each memory, small details began to shift. The more she looked, the more she saw. A future technology out of place, an earpiece in a friend's ear that hadn't existed back then. A strange, unfamiliar name whispered in the background of a conversation she couldn't place. And the most unsettling of all, her own reflection, seen briefly in a shop window during the memory of her honeymoon. Only, it wasn't her. Not as she was. Her hair longer, her face older. A fleeting, distorted image of someone she might become. Amanda's breath quickened. She replayed the memory again and again, focusing on the reflection in the window. It didn't make sense. How could her future self be there, watching her past? Was this part of the glitch? Or was it something more? Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, ready to call the memory bank's support line. But even as she dialed the number, she knew they wouldn't give her the answers she needed. There was something bigger going on here. Something they didn't want her to see. As Amanda dug deeper into her glitching memories, she noticed something else. In the corner of each corrupted file, barely visible, a symbol, an ancient library card catalog, rendered in neon blue. Too deliberate to be a glitch. Too consistent to be an accident. Just as the thought crossed her mind, a message flashed across the screen. Unauthorized access detected. A chill ran down Amanda's spine. The screen went black, then flickered back to life. She wasn't alone in this. Someone, or something, was watching. She stared at the screen, her heart racing. Who had sent the message? And more importantly, how did they know what she was doing? Amanda knew she couldn't stop now. If the system was locking her out, there had to be a reason. And if she couldn't find the answers within the memory bank, she would have to find them elsewhere. Her search led her to the darkest corners of the neural networks. Message boards where people traded in whispers about the memory bank's shadows. About someone who could see the seams in the system's perfect facade. That's when she recognized the name. An old contact from her early corporate days. Someone who worked in the shadows of the tech world. A figure that some called the ghost in the machine. Others, the memory keeper. But those who knew, really knew, they called him the archivist. Without hesitation, Amanda pinged the archivist. The coordinates arrived in an unmarked message. The truth isn't in what you remember, but in what you've forgotten. Below, a number she hadn't seen in years. A number that shouldn't still exist. The message ended with a warning. Come alone, Amanda, and don't access any memories until we meet. They're watching through your eyes. Her fingers hovered over the number. Was she ready to see how deep the cracks in her perfect system went? The city outside was dark. The streets empty as Amanda stepped out of her lift. The building before her was old, forgotten, a relic of time before the memory bank had taken over. Inside, the archivist was waiting. You've come a long way, he said, his voice low and measured. But you're not here by accident. They've been watching you, Amanda. They've been watching all of us. Amanda's eyes narrowed. Who are they? The archivist leaned back, his expression unreadable. The people behind the memory bank. They're not just preserving memories. They're rewriting them. Amanda felt her world collapsing around her. Why me? Why would they target me? She asked, her voice trembling. The archivist's expression darkened, his eyes narrowing as if weighing his next words carefully. You're not the target, Amanda, he said slowly. You're the key. You've been part of this from the beginning. The future version of you. She's the one pulling the strings. Amanda's breath caught in her throat. I'm doing this to myself? The archivist nodded, but his eyes were distant. It's not just you. This system, this whole memory bank is built on paradoxes, on loops. You're one of many. But your future self, she's learned how to control the system. She's rewriting her past to ensure her own survival. She wants you to keep walking this path, and so far, she's succeeding. Amanda's heart pounded. Then how do I stop her? How do I stop myself? The archivist hesitated, then spoke quietly. That's why I brought you here. I can give you the tools to fight back. But once you begin, there's no going back. You will have to face her, and when you do, you'll realize the true cost of reclaiming your mind. Amanda stared at the screens, the images flickering with memories she no longer trusted. The archivist had offered her a way out. But what if the truth was more dangerous than the lie? Could she really confront her future self, knowing that it was her own willpower, her own choices, that had led her here? The archivist watched her closely, his face unreadable. The choice is yours. You can walk away now, continue living the life she's written for you, or you can fight. Amanda took a deep breath, her mind racing. She had spent years believing she was in control. Now, she knew control had always been an illusion. But one thing was clear. She wasn't ready to surrender. "I'll fight," she said, her voice steady, "even if it means destroying everything." Amanda McBroom thought she had control over her past. But now, she knows the truth. Her future self holds the reins, rewriting the past to protect a future Amanda cannot yet comprehend. The real question is not whether she can fight the system she created, but whether she can survive the battle against the version of herself who already knows the outcome. Some battles aren't fought with weapons, but with time. And in a world where memories are malleable, time is the ultimate enemy. In the memory bank, truth is a luxury few can afford. And for Amanda McBroom, the fight has only just begun.